A horse is a horse, of course. Of course, I know I can talk like a horse, of course. That is, of course, unless the horse is famous Mr. Ed. Said Mr. Ed shares his words of wisdom only with Wilbur, his hapless owner. And Mr. Ed was in 143 episodes beginning in 1961. And he apparently is a hero to our next speaker, Stephan Villavicencio, because one of the places he would go on his vacation is to Oklahoma, to the farm where Mr. Ed is buried. He died in 1970 from an inadvertent needle. He was given a sedative that was a little bit overkill. Stephan tonight is going to be giving us from Motivational Strategies, team building. It's 2 to 3 minutes. It's the introduction to building a team with games. He's been a Carolwoodian for 3 years. By day, he works at USF on both birth defect statistics. At work, his hobbies include Toastmasters, philosophy, and music. And today, he takes us on the first of 2 speech program as part of the Level 5 Motivational Strategies Challenge entitled Team Building. Today's speech entitled Introduction to Building a Team with Games. Stephan Villavicencio.
Raise your hand if you had to wrestle with a crazy idea this week. I'm not alone. It was hard for me to figure out what is the connection between playing games and building a team. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, I will tell you what's the connection. And it is that when you play games, you see your team is acting in a spontaneous way. And when they're doing that, you can read their personality and understand who's spontaneous and who is more planned. And you can also tell who is more competitive and who is more collaborative. And that's the key to using these games to see of your team members how they are, how they're different. This is why I'm going to have my team of 3 people join me, and we're going to play some games and we're going to figure out about each other's personality. And our goal is to, as a team, is to set up a speaking event, a learning event that's going to happen in a couple of months. But for now, we're going to learn about each other through playing games. And some of the games that we're going to do are going to be Mad Libs. How many of you know about Mad Libs? Oh, okay, cool. I see some people in technology land. Yes, Mad Libs, there are these stories that are missing 15 words, and what you and the team have to do is fill in those words. And nobody knows what the story is about except for that one person. And because people don't really know what kind of words to use to fit the story appropriately, it becomes really wacky. And that's just one game. It does showcase one aspect, some aspects of personality, but it's better to do other games like 2 Truths and a Lie. Some of you may know that from spinning the bottle and telling 2 truths and a lie over beer and dalliances. And another game that we'll play is the marshmallow game. That's basically like taking marshmallows and treating them like Legos. So to summarize, I'm going to get my 3 people together as my team that we're going to work on it for 2 months, and we're going to do these games, the Mad Libs, the marshmallow game, and the 2 Truths and a Lie, to figure out learn more about each other's personality, and to figure out how we're going to work together well as a team.
Thank you, everybody. and good evening. Stephan, this is my first time listening to your speech in person, and I can definitely see a massive and monumental improvement in your speech, your confidence, your fluency, everything. And I think it would be safe to call your speech a refreshing dalliance, because never heard a 2 to 3 minute speech, but it gripped me all the way through. I loved how you asked the question at the beginning. I feel that's one of the best ways to start your speech, because you start the creative juices in your audience flowing. You get them thinking about what's coming, what is the speech about, and just a nice way to keep them involved and drawn into what message you have to impart. I think everybody has had the chance to wrestle with certain ideas throughout the week, because we all have very busy and creative minds. So that was a good question. Additionally, I loved how you stepped to the side of the podium. You didn't keep your gestures confined to this little space, but you stepped out. You really did show your gestures. You put them out there for the audience to see, because I always like to think your gestures provide an excellent connotation to your words, and they complement the message that you have to deliver. So good job on that. It also shows your confidence and your comfortability with speaking, and your confidence in your tackling over the issue that you're talking about. I think it's quite innovative of you to come up with looking at players of games to kind of test how people's individuality is. Are they competitive? Are they collaborative? Are they spontaneous, or are they planned? I think you could have sort of chosen to pause a little less, to give out a little less pausing at certain areas, because I think when you have a speech that's a little shorter in time span, it would work to fit in more words. I noticed you paused a little longer than required a couple times. But it's all right. You didn't stumble anywhere, so that's good. Another thing I would recommend is to give a strong outro and a conclusion, because you just sort of abruptly ended. Having something strong, probably like a cliffhanger, because this is part 1, and then you have a part 2 coming up where you're probably going to reveal how people are when they're tested under, playing games as players. So I think just putting out a cliffhanger to get people to anticipate what's coming next and what could possibly be the results or the conclusions that you have to provide in part 2 would be a good way. And you also spontaneously fit in the word of the day, dalliance. It's hard to fit in a word of the day when you have a prepared speech, because you don't know if the word is quite going to match with the topic that you have to give out. Another interesting thing about your speech was, I would say, your excitement. I could see it in your face. You're excited. You've chosen something that you look forward to doing in the future, and I think that's the most important thing, to look excited about whatever you're talking about when you're speaking, because that's the way that you get the audience in and you keep them throughout. So wonderful job on your speech. Looking forward to your part 2. Thank you.